Well, happy Saturday, everyone. It's Greg Dixon, your story whisperer. And we're going to, this is the very first group discussion we're having for your Writing for Fun adventure. And you can sign up for this at www.writingforfun.online. And I've been broadcasting regularly, and I have a website with various topics. And what I thought we would do today is talk a bit about what kinds of writing you want to do and or have done in the past. Everybody's welcome, whether you're a brand new writer, aspiring writer, just want to get going, or eventually we're going to have guests on here who have written things like plays, musicals, books, field rubrics, whatever it is. And I got somebody in the wings here going to come on and bring Bonnie up here. There's Bonnie Dixon. I think I know her a bit. so she's our stooge, our plant for the day. So Bonnie has a bit of a writing history. She wrote a recipe column in the Mojave Desert for a newspaper for a while. She was part of a group book, and she wrote a book of her own. And maybe you want to talk about how you got into writing those things, Bonnie.
Well, it's interesting about the food column for 14 years. I was asked to write a gossip column in a small paper in Mojave, California. And I said, no, 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 no. I said, but I do love to cook and recipes. So that was great fun for 14 years. It was one recipe a week. I got a free paper out of it every week. And I didn't write much, but I just would research the recipes and put it in. Back in the days when computers were DOS, and it was kind of interesting. So then later, I wrote a book. It was very cathartic. A former partner of mine had fallen ill, and I met a patient who had written a book, and he had been totally paralyzed in a coma, came out of it, and his name is Michael Koss in Vancouver, Canada. And I was so curious. He told me he wrote a book. I said, really? And I said, how'd you do that? And he said, well, I typed it with one finger. And it really got me thinking that if a person would like to share their information, it is literally, you can type it with one finger. Nowadays makes it so easy. You can speak it into your phone and just put out your thoughts. And, people, they want to know about other people. And so, of course, there's, history, those kind of books. That's not my thing, but actual living is. So right now I'm writing a health column. It's kind of funny because I have a cold, but it's really easier than ever to write. I love writing on this iPad. I like writing on physical paper. Now I have something called this is really cool. It's something called a Rocket Book, and you can upload and erase, so it makes it really fun. But writing is just sharing who you are. It's fun, it's easy. And the tip that Greg hears me share a lot is tic-tac-toe. So my former editor for a book that I wrote, when Michael had shared he wrote a book, then I wrote a book, and the editor or the people that were helping me said, "Well, what do you know about?" And I said, "Well, I know a lot of things. I'm a master of many expert. I'm not any better than the next person, but I know enough more than the next person." So I wrote a book on how to get a job you love because I can always get a job. And so when I wrote that book, that was very cathartic. And they taught me this trick, tic-tac-toe, and each of the 9 squares put a topic header. From there, 3 to 5 bullet points. From there, they said if you write for half an hour a day, you literally can write a book about 126 pages in a month. And if you want to write longer than an hour a day, you can write 2 books a month. It's not as hard as you think, because really our brains get stimulated and then we can pour out of our heads what we know. And so I encourage everyone, if it's a story, write the story. People say, well, it's not perfect. Of course it's not perfect. No story, nothing's perfect. That's what editors are for. I had an editor for my book, and they did a hard edit. I used to have 12 chapters, and they squished it to 7, and it came out better than if it were 12. Editors, there's different kinds of editors. Some have the big concept, some are detail oriented. You'll know your own writing best. But even if you don't write and you have an idea, people can help you with that. Greg's friend Betty Withrow, she can take a concept and write a ghost book for you. So writing a book is something that I think, what they say, 9 out of 10 people want to do, but most people never get the round to it. If you get the round to it, people respect you more when you say, I've written a book. I couldn't believe how many people said, I wrote a book. And they went, really? You wrote a book? And so I think that's something everyone should aspire to do, especially if you're young and you're just starting your career out. If you write a book, you elevate yourself to the next level above the next person. So with that, Greg, I'm going to hush up, and I just encourage all of your students, start writing. Do it right now. Don't wait the 20 years that my that one person told me about. They'd sat on their book for 20 years. Someone's waiting to hear from you. Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. Yeah. So Marie Forleo would often say the world needs that special gift that only you have. And
Yeah.
so it could be almost anything. You started off with writing in the local paper in the Mojave Desert with
Yeah.
recipes because you liked cooking and you liked recipes. It was easy enough for you to type up the recipe and put it in. And right
Yep.
now you're sending something to the local newspaper Merit, what goes out
Yeah.
once a week or something.
Yeah.
And you probably don't, what, how much time do you spend writing that article?
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought I'd go through a bit of my writing history. I think the first thing I ever had that was published. Of course, everybody's writing. I think if you're human, you're a writer. You're writing all the time. You're learning how to write at school. They're getting to you to write about your school, your summer vacation, or anything, or your family, all that kind of stuff. I wrote a poem that was published in a little thing in elementary school. I also had a little drawing that was on this little booklet that went out. Um, Years when I went to college, I wrote tons and tons and tons and tons of uh, um, essays, papers on anything, right? Whatever topic it would be. Um, I did a bunch of stuff with sciences, psychology. Also did a lot of literature reviews and things. And when I was out in the workforce, I ended up I worked for a IT company, and I was asked to run the branch newsletter. So I put out, I think it was once a month, and I got submissions, all sorts of things, interesting things. And then I wrote a lot for that too. I filled up. I probably wrote 40 or 50%. I looked at it as I had I had the tool of propaganda, so I could control what was in there. And I got a note from the president of the company in Ottawa appreciating the newsletter. So you don't know who's reading these things. Um, Over the years, I spent quite a bit of time doing technical writing, so writing manuals for stuff, and that's an interesting process. So some people says, "What's the main?" Somebody asks you, "What's the main skill you need for technical writing?" And I said, the ability to maintain consciousness. And when I was finding that, I don't know if you know this, if your head flops on the keyboard, sometimes you'll beep. If you're getting woken up by the beeps, then it's time to go do something else. So, and yeah, so I've written songs. I've worked with people who write co-write songs with people, so that kind of be a thing. I have some people I worked with who have written musicals, and we produced a couple of Trailer Park Boys style videos called "My Baby's Going to Jail for Christmas" and "If Mama Ate Happy, Ate Nobody Happy." That's all a form of writing. So I guess the question to you is, what do you want to write? We Bonnie and I both spent some time capturing people's family stories. So that's kind of thing you can write about your family. You can
Mm-hmm.
write just amusing travel stories, anything you want. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole writing for fun is I think you don't necessarily have to have a purpose or a destination for what you're writing is. You can simply just journal.
Mm-hmm.
So Bonnie's recently came across Julia Cameron, had the Artist Way, and then she's put out a new Artist Way workbook. And the whole thing, part of that is the morning journal, and you just get up every morning and write. And that
Mm-hmm.
can be very cathartic and
Mm-hmm.
meditative or insightful just on its
Mm-hmm.
own. Nobody ever needs to see what you write.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I also been doing journaling called Cosmic Smash Booking with a friend.
yeah,
And from there, I looked it up and I created a class and taught a local class called Heart Notes Journaling.
yeah,
And so you get a big empty notebook and you put pencil or pen to paper. Start whatever your heart leads you to that day and just journal, journal, journal till you got it all out. And then you actually apply art on top of the journal. Here's mine. Here's one of mine.
yeah.
Yes, you can
Oh,
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
cool.
with that, underneath are a lot of words, but it's really interesting because you can cover it up and the words are still there. It's still meaningful.
Yeah,
And from that, it's very cathartic. So it's doesn't have to, as you said, Greg, no one else has to read it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got this is a book I got at the dollar store. So super great ideas, and I write in it when I have meetings with people. I write in it, but also just write notes about anything. And Bonnie showed you that rocket book, that little notebook, and also she's on the iPad, so she can't show you the iPad, but there's a bunch of things because she likes drawing and writing things. So there are
Yeah.
lots of ways of doing it. And you also do some things like you dictate,
Yeah.
like you speak into the phone and it writes the text. So there are
Right, right.
lots of different ways of doing that.
You just shared something a few minutes ago that jogged my memory. I actually won a poetry contest when I was 12. It was a poem about a deer. And I just remembered that. I don't know that I have that poem anymore, but and then I also won a different contest I applied for when I was 58 years old. And it was put out, it was very interesting. It was put out by a doctor. And so I sent it in and I won $400. So I think, and Greg, you tease me all the time that I say I'm not a writer, and I don't consider myself a writer, but that doesn't matter. You can still write and write for yourself. And if it fits the parameter of our contest, there you go.
Yeah,
So I think all of us have it in us to write and share our ideas because your story may help someone else
that
at
may
some
help someone else.
point. Yeah, it may help someone else. And sometimes I'm reading a story now, and it's actually a book, a very interesting book, and it's about this man's whole life. He didn't write it. Someone else wrote it for about him. But it's his story. It's fascinating and it's very motivational. And so we don't know where or how it can happen, but there's a cathartic thing about putting pencil to paper and writing. It emotes us to it discharges energy. Like if you're feeling all pent up, writing can be a way to discharge that energy. And then by doing so, it can come together as you keep continuing to write. More and more pours out of you onto the paper. It's fascinating.
No, it is, and I did quite a few sessions with Anne Babchuck about soul reconnection, and we used reverse writing. Basically, you write with the opposite hand and write backwards, and that was an interesting process. Bonnie did a couple of sessions, I think, and uh, and that can be something. And the other thing where uh, I I'm a member of the American Writers and Artists Incorporated um, uh, writing group, AWAI. They teach people how to write. They teach almost any kind of writing, and that's like copywriting. Mostly is persuasive writing, and often the people who are the best at that are come out of a career. Maybe they were in the pharmaceutical industry, so they know a lot about it, or maybe they teach kids at elementary school or something like that. They can write what they know really, and and some people get hung up with the copywriting sale persuasive thing, but it's just really persuasive. You're communicating ideas, and if you're trying to sell something, you're really just persuading them, providing them information. And I think I think if you're human, you're a writer generally, and probably everybody has written
Mhm.
some little thing like a note to your parents or something, explaining why they should give you a guitar for Christmas or something, or let you go on a certain vacation. So people can be persuasive. You make the case, and again, it's just it doesn't have to. None of the writing has to go anywhere. You can just write for fun, just an enjoyment. It's often Betty Withrow and I help people publish their books. We could take them through the Betty helps, especially with the writing process, and then we do some editing, formatting, and put it out in a number of places. And I often find when I'm talking about, sometimes we talk about why you want a book. You might want to have a book as to get you on stage if you want to be a speaker, or to get interest in your products and services. But I often will say just for the sheer joy of it. So that's why this whole thing is we're starting with writing for fun. Write stuff that you want to write. Yeah, the more you write, you get better at it. If you do the journaling, if you're writing stuff every day, if you write a little bit every day for a year, you're just going to naturally get better at it. And yeah, so we encourage you to write anything, and you're welcome to come in, join this session on Saturdays. And also, if you are an established writer, if you're a screenwriter or songwriter and want to be on the show, I do a broadcast every usually every weekday at 2 p.m. And I'm starting
Pacific.
to Pacific, yeah, the West Coast time, Pacific time, and share your writing story, like Bonnie shared her writing story. So just and if you got a book or something, coming up, you can talk about that, and we'll send out links, get some publicity for your book, and just share your insights. I think almost every human is probably a little bit unique. Everybody writes a little bit differently. And as Bonnie said, with Chat GPT and there's all sorts of tools. Writing has never been easier. Dictation things. Yeah, there's just a lot of ways to do it. So start writing. Start with the journal. Maybe this Bonnie had these, so she's got some experience.
I
That's
love the note cards. Well,
yeah,
here's a fun story for those looking for a job. Why should they write a book? And this is a fun story. So this was from the publisher that I had used, and he talked to a woman, and she wrote a book on marketing, a short book. Anyway, when the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver happened, she applied for a job. And they said, "Why should we hire you?" And she picked up her book and said, "Because I wrote the book on marketing." They hired her. So having a book or 2 or 3 under your belt can lead to other opportunities.
Can open
And
doors for
it
sure.
can open doors. And I think for my own book of How to Get a Job You Love, it was not the biggest, the fanciest book. It was not one that made a bestseller list. I didn't push on it. But here's what's interesting. People who read it and gave me feedback said, I got a job right away, or that really helped me. And there's a really good feeling about helping someone else and serving them. So what you write down may be for yourself, but it could be for someone else that's looking just for that nudge, to help them through whatever they're going through. So my encouragement is write for fun, and you never know where it can take you.
Yeah, I'm just I'm going to try to load up your book here to show what you wrote.
Oh, yeah, I was always in awe that people said there were no jobs, and I thought, what? There's lots of jobs out there. You can always get a job. I mean, you might not go from the pushing a broom in a school gym to being a CEO, but you could, if you start with writing down your experiences, your life experiences. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I wrote that back in 2011, 12-ish, and it was fun. And it was fun to write. It was cathartic at the time. My former partner had been quite ill, and I only had 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening to write. And one thing that my friend told me, he said that this course was how to write a book in 90 days. But as he said, it took me 2 years because he was brain injured. So all I can tell you, if Michael, who was brain injured, can write a book, you can write a book too.
Yeah, we don't have any excuses.
We have no excuses.
And yeah, and Stephen Hawking wrote a number of books.
Yeah.
And he, basically he had no use of his hands.
Right. Anne Frank, imagine the horror of what she went through. And she was writing. She was writing, profound writing. So it's worthwhile. We each of us has our own experience, but to put it on paper and share it, other people resonate from that a lot of times, and it makes a difference in their life. So very worthwhile to do that. Well, Greg, I think I'm going to ring off here, and really appreciate your show. And I know you're going to have a lot of fun adventures.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to let people go anyway. So thanks for joining us, Bonnie. And I'll just take you off the screen here.
Happy writing.
Happy writing. Yeah. So I'm going to invite you. You can see on the screen there, www.writingforfun.online. You can sign up for a mailing list, and I'll send out invitations. So if, I'll send out the link to get onto the show if you want to be either present what you do or just be part of the discussion about writing. Just come on down, and also if you want to be on one of the broadcasts during the week, let me know, and we'll set up a time. Bonnie and I both really enjoy interviewing people and talking to people, just having a conversation, put the broadcast on and chat. It's a lot of fun. So happy Saturday, everyone, and take care.